What is going on, guys? You're listening to the David F. Haas podcast. Thanks for taking the time today to join me here on the podcast. I'm running super late. I usually get these podcasts on Monday, and it's Wednesday. I've gotten into a bad habit of recording them late. Anyways, making a little more work for my team, but all good. Today's podcast is inspired by my bank visit today. I went to the bank and I started talking with the guy at my bank, and we were talking about purpose and defining your purpose. And one of the things that he mentioned to me when we met, I'm not going to sell him out by name or anything, was that he's been in this career for 5 years and he never visualized himself as being a banker in his life. And he kind of just woke up one day 5 years into a career that he wasn't too sure about. Not that he hates his job, but just never really saw himself being in that job. And there he is 5 years later. All of a sudden, he's a banker, and now he's got a wife and two kids, and it's hard to leave because he's got responsibilities. And these are the things that are super important to look into, is about what it is that you want to do with your life, and start asking those questions. Because when we're unclear on our purpose, we can end up waking up one day going like, oh shit, I just wasted 20 years of my life doing something I didn't really want to do. And now this goes a little bit deeper than just your purpose. We have to understand what our motivations are, why we're doing the things that we're doing. So let me kind of give you some examples to make this a little bit more clear. So one of the programs that people have bought into is that you need to get a job with a pension and benefits, so that you have security. And so a lot of people will avoid even looking, or won't even have the awareness that other career paths exist, because they don't have a pension or benefits. And so this is like a belief that's installed, and especially here in Windsor, where we are like a very union community. It's kind of been driven into our parents that you got to get a job. You got to get a job that has benefits. You got to get a job that has a good pension. But the reality of the situation is like, you can set up your own pension. You can invest your own money. You can pay for the dentist, and especially if that means you're going to live every day like it's the weekend, right? It's like the last thing I want in my life is to ever feel like I'm working for the weekend, or working, even take it a step further, even working for retirement. If you're working for retirement or working for the weekends, your shit is backwards, right? It's literally that simple. We want to be doing things that we feel energy and joy about doing every single day. Like, this is what I know for myself, is like, I'm aligned with exactly what it is I'm supposed to do. Like, I could work tirelessly. I'm here in the office 6 o'clock. This is like the third time I've been here today, recording a podcast, because this is what I want to be doing. I just got off a discovery call with a client, and this guy's amazing, and he's going to do great things. And like, this is what I'm here to do, and that's what I'm going to do forever. And this is the kind of energy that we want to feel. Like, it's like the energy of life. Some people call it Kundalini. When it starts flowing through your body, it's like, it's almost like it's too much sometimes. You gotta like keep it in check. You have too much energy, you have too much passion, and so this is what's possible for all of us. But we've all started buying into these programs that you have to have benefits. So this would be one of the programs. So if the first thing is, are you buying into a program? Are you buying into someone else's vision for your life? Right? You need to work for a company. Maybe not. Maybe you could start your own company, or maybe reverse. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you should be working for somebody else. I have a good friend of mine that had a major realization in his life, that he said, like, I'm not an entrepreneur. I do my best work being like a number 2 or number 3, working within a company. And so this is the self-awareness that we want to create. And the next question is, well, how do you create that self-awareness? Well, ultimately, you have to remove the clouds. And what are the clouds? The clouds are what is blocking our light. The sun, which is the sun of happiness, the sun of abundance, is constantly shining on us at all times. And the reason that we don't feel the heat and the warmth and the energy of the sun is because of the programs that we've bought into, that we've created, the belief systems, the negative emotions that are holding us back. So we need to look within, uncover what behaviors that we that we are exhibiting that are not serving us, and begin to understand why those behaviors exist and why our ego created these behaviors to protect us from feeling some sort of pain. When we start to do this and we start to heal, we start to clear the clouds from the sun that's always been shining, right? You could call it whatever, the light of divinity, universal intelligence. It's always there for us to tap into. But we have to, like I say, remove the cloud so that we can just actually even tap into it. So hopefully this podcast for you today is about creating this awareness. If you don't know what it is that you want to do, and this is where most people I think get stuck, especially young when you're younger. It's like, I just don't really know what it is I want to do. Okay, great. This is amazing. At least you're asking the question, right? If we just go along and we're just, doing what we think we should have done, and then we catch ourselves 10 years later going, oh man, this is not what I wanted to really do. So let me give you my own personal example of clearing the clouds. So one of the clouds for me was that I created a belief and a behavior that I needed to make money. The cloud was, so that was a cloud. I guess that was the cloud. That was the program. That was the belief system. I needed to make money. But I had told myself that the reason I needed to make money was because I wanted to be successful. I wanted to feel like I was accomplished, all of these things. But the reality of that behavior was that I was using that behavior to avoid feeling the shame of growing up and living in a shitty house, driving shitty cars, wearing shitty clothes to school. Once I made that connection, that the only reason I was trying to make money was to avoid feeling that pain, it's like, oh, I started feeling this huge freedom from the pressure of being successful and making money. I then was able to teach myself with the help of mentors and books and all kinds of study of how to become free of that pain, of that shame that I felt as a kid. I just leaned into it and allowed myself to feel it fully. I stopped resisting it like I'd been resisting it for my entire life. I finally stopped resisting the shame. And once I became free of that shame, and you can listen to my other stuff to get deeper on this story, but once I became free of this shame, I no longer needed to make money to avoid feeling the shame. So my desire for money on a scale of 1 to 100 was 100 before. After I freed myself from the pain of the shame, my desire for money was like a 10, right? And when I let go of that desire for money and I began to realize that this is not really what I want to do was make money, right? What I really wanted to do was help people, right? And then I started, because the clouds were cleared, I started getting the help and the support from the universe, from God, whatever you want to call it. For me, it's God, but I started getting that help. And the first help that I received was like, I wanted to be a preacher as a little kid. And that was a memory that had been repressed or had been blocked by these clouds that I had created. So I was like, oh, I wanted to be a preacher. Like my mom was a minister, and she, when I used to see her up there and the way that she was helping people, the way people interacted with her, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to help people just like my mom does through teaching and preaching. And I had completely repressed that desire, I guess. I don't even want to call it desire, but that connection to my purpose. Yeah, that's what it is. I had completely repressed it because I had allowed these clouds to just push it away, wash it away. So when I brought awareness to the clouds, I became free. I cleared the clouds. Then I started receiving what it was I was truly aligned with. And this is where my coaching business essentially was born. I also applied it, though, to my bar business, right? And I literally bought the bar and got into the bar business to not feel like the poor kid, to get acceptance from other people, right? As a bar owner, you're like a star, right? People come in, you buy them drinks, you had girls all around you. It was like giving me everything that I needed to not feel unimportant, to not feel less than, right? So when I came to the realization that the only reason I was doing all of this was to not feel shame, and I dealt with the shame, I was like, well, I don't need any of this anymore. And is this really what I want to be doing with my life, right? And I was like, oh no. But it didn't mean I had to sell the bar, right? It just mean I need to change my approach. And so I changed from getting, which was getting money from people so that I could not feel a certain way, and I changed to giving. I started creating a business model that allow people to go out for dinner and not spend 50 or 60 bucks. They could come to my restaurant and they can have dinner and a drink and spend like 15 bucks, right? And people could see that. People would see that I was genuine, that I really did want to provide value to people. I started providing more value to my staff. I started treating them with respect. I started treating them with started being a leader to them, and it's something I'm still working on. Right, is being a better leader in that business, and because of that, guess what? I started making all kinds of money. Right, and it's because I got aligned with giving instead of getting, and I did that only when I started clearing the clouds. Okay, so this is just kind of an example of becoming aware of what the clouds are so that we can start getting the help and the support from the universe, from God, whatever it may be. The next question is, though, maybe you still don't know what you want to do. So if you start bringing awareness to what some of those clouds are, usually these things are going to start coming to you. Okay, so what are the programs that you've bought into? That would be the first question I would ask. The second question I would ask is, what did you want to do as a kid? What did you want to, what was it that you wanted to do as a kid before you started buying into all of these programs? So I remember a story of one time. I worked at a driving range as a kid, and I loved like just hitting golf balls, and even the pro there was a super nice guy, and he would always like give me little lessons here and there, and I loved that job. Like I was there 20 minutes early all the time, and the owner loved me, I remember saying to my family at one point that I wanted to be a pro golfer, right? And like they basically completely shut it down, right? But it's like I'm not angry at them for it, right? But I was like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I love doing. And they shut it down because it didn't fit into the mold of what they thought was what you're supposed to do. They saw that path as being hard. Now, would I have made the PGA? I mean, I was 13 or something at the time. Probably not. But I could have probably gotten a job in golf. I could have probably owned a driving range. I could have probably owned a golf course or become a head pro at a golf course and lived a great life. Like a friend of mine's a head pro at a golf course, and he has a great life. So just recognizing, what those little instincts were and urges were. I remember another urge that I had or instinct that I had is like I wanted to be a stuntman as a kid, right? Which is kind of funny, like looking back. But like I love like jumping off of things, and I was always diving and doing all these crazy rolls and stuff. And I was like, I want to be a stuntman. But again, that also got dismissed because it was unrealistic. Like, where do you become a stuntman in Windsor? But really, if it was like that's what I wanted to do, I could have found a way to make money at it. We live in a day and age where you can literally make money doing anything. So a great way to get connected to what it is you want to do is start tuning into what it was you wanted to do as a kid. Now, not every single one is going to be aligned with your exact purpose, but it's going to start giving you a little bit of clarity. The second tip you can use, this is one I use with my clients all the time, is lottery. Do the lottery experiment, where essentially you are writing out everything you would do if you won the lottery. If you won $100 million in the lottery, or even make it 500 million, just really write it out. Like, what would you do, right? What would you do with the money? Where would you travel? And then you just keep writing it all out, and then visualize yourself there. This is a great visualization experiment. Visualize yourself there with all your material needs met. You're living in the mansion. You got the Ferrari in the garage. You got the hot wife laying by the pool, right? Whatever, or the hot husband, laying by the pool. You've done everything you've ever wanted to do. You've traveled all over the entire world. Then you see yourself sitting by the pool with your hot spouse, and just say, well, now what are you going to do? Are you going to lay by the pool for the rest of your life? No, of course not. You might do it for a couple of weeks, and you're like, oh, not enough of laying by the pool, right? What is it I want to do with my days? Okay, so that might be an indication also of what you're really truly connected to. The third thing is you could do the deathbed experiment, which is like you basically see yourself laying on your deathbed and see who's around you. What are they saying to you? What are you saying to them? What is the legacy? What is the impact you want to leave on this world? And how did you achieve that? That would be another thing. The other thing that you could do is you could just go out and taste, and this is what Gary Vee talks about a lot. Just go and start doing shit. Make your best educated guess around what it is that you want to do and go and do it. Don't worry about whether there's benefits or how much money you're going to make or whatever. Go and do it. And if you find the passion and the energy in it, the money will come and it'll work itself out. Right? So these are just some tools and tricks to start getting aligned with your purpose, because what I'm trying to avoid for you listening to this podcast here is if you don't start asking these questions, whether you're 20 years into a career or just starting out a career, if you don't start asking these questions, you might find yourself, like I did, 20 years into a career going like, this is not even remotely aligned with what it was I really want to do, what impact I want to leave on this world, what legacy I want to leave in this world, right? Once I got aligned with that, the energy difference was like it's off the charts, right? The sense of knowing that this is what I'm meant to do is one of the greatest feelings in the world, right? There is no more doubt and questioning, and that's where I was before. I was just constantly questioning what it was I was supposed to do, or am I doing the right thing? Would be a better representation of the way I used to felt. Is this my path? Like these are the questions that I constantly ask, and now I'm like, no, this is my path, right? Nothing can pull me from it, right? So this is the feeling that I want for you. And the way that I discovered it was by removing the clouds, by having a mentor, by having the courage to look under the hood, right? So it's like if you're overweight and you don't want to step on the scale, and I've been there, right, where you've been eating like shit for a few months and you don't even want to get on the scale. It's like step one to begin the process of losing that weight is to understand where you are, right? So you got to get on the scale. You got to look under the hood, right? So a great tool would be to just create some clarity. Where are you right now in your life? You know, what's going good, what's going bad, and where do you want to go? It's like a GPS. GPS is only good if you know where you are and you know where you're going, right? And if you don't know where you're going, which this podcast is kind of about, then I've given you some tools in this podcast to start getting clear on where you want to set that GPS to. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. I've been really aligned with defining your purpose lately. I just feel like it's something that a lot of people are just kind of refusing to look under the hood, because life's good. And, this is usually my ideal client that I work with. On the surface, everything looks good. I'm making good money, got a good relationship, but on paper you look good, but within, something's off, and you have a sense that something's off. And what I want to help you uncover is what it is that is off, and let's get clear on how to get things reset and get you aligned with what it is that you truly want to do, so that you can have the energy and the purpose and the knowingness. It's like the knowingness, like this is what I'm meant to do, right? And I'm going to do it every single day until I die. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for taking the time to listen. If you're interested in learning more about defining your purpose, hit me up, DM me, email me, and let's jump on a discovery call and see if I can help you get to where you want to go and remove those clouds. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Don't forget, click that subscribe bell if you haven't already, because every single Wednesday I'm just dropping all kinds of value, I believe. So I want to make sure that you're receiving it. Thanks again. See you next week.